second untold story is about Barbara Valentin, or as the Americans or English say, Barbara Valentine. I'm very often getting asked, so as other people who were close to Freddie, like Peter Freestone, was that real love between Freddie and Barbara? And were they a real pair? Which means, most people mean, did they have sex? Okay, and I'm going to go into that. So, first of all, it's important. Barbara was a very lovely person. I liked her very much. She was a superstar in the 60s, a film icon with a famous German film director called Rainer Werner Fassbinder, who made extraordinary films in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And she was one of, he always was using the same, or very often, the same actors. And she was one of the Fassbinder actors, so she was very famous. She was a sex symbol in those decades. And Freddie liked that. And she was very important in Freddie's life. That I can say for sure. I can actually say everything for sure. And there's a whole chapter in my book, and I'm gonna tell you some of that, also what's in it. Now, it's around a television recording of a show which I was the director, which was a very, very big German primetime television show in the German channel ARD, which is the nationwide first channel. And it was called Vier gegen Willi, which means nothing. It was called Four Against Willi, and Willi was a little hamster, and it was a game show. But it had a lot of viewers, and I was directing it because they always had one big music star, and actually three big music acts. You know, people like the Bangles or Duran Duran, and I was always also the guy who was getting them into that show with my company Doro at the time, which was pretty early in the Doro time. It was something like 80s, I think. Yeah, 80s, of course. So anyway, Freddie sometimes did me favors because I also, of course, did him many favors, but the favors of Freddie were very, very nice. And so long story short, in one evening, which I describe in My Friend Freddie in detail, I asked him, would you like to come as the special guest and perform The Great Pretender? And he said yes. And this recording exists. The hardcore Queen fans know it. It's a sort of a little remake of David Mallett's original video, which I think is fabulous. I respect a lot the work of my colleague David Mallet, who made iconic Queen videos, like Radio Gaga and I Wanna Break Free, of course. So when he decided to do that, even in front of me, he called Barbara and said, "Oh, Barbara, I'm coming to Munich." So to the actual recording, he turned up with Barbara. And we had rehearsal and everything. So since it was more than one day, Freddie and Barbara also stayed overnight. And the first evening when they arrived, a very, very wild sort of rock and roll evening, which is in detail described, where. And you will be able to read all the details, but it included some white powder, and it included some see-through glasses. It was not water, it was vodka. and it included a very crazy night. And what I could witness there, um, I mean, as far as I remember, Barbara didn't have all the time all her clothes on, and it was not because of me. So there was something going on, and still, I have to say, in all fairness, and as the limit of as far as I go, that of course I was not there when they left the room and went to their room. So, and it's also none of my business. So usually I say to people, to Queen fans who ask me, who are not very friendly, actually it's none of your business. But since I know that you guys also, Mary Austin, Jim Hutton, all those, this is something that a lot of you are thinking, and some of you like Mary Austin and others don't, and some of you love Jim Hutton and others don't, and some of you like Barbara Valentin and some of you don't. I can only tell you that Freddie was in a platonic way at times in love with Barbara Valentine. If they had sex or not, I'm not telling you now. But the session on this hotel room was very wild, and I will never forget it.
Backstage.